The story of Cambridge Analytica and their activities during the 2016 election on using social media to try to manipulate people psychographically into supporting one sort of politician and not others is a fascinating story with a new twist that I did not see coming. And this comes courtesy of one of the whistleblowers from inside Cambridge Analytica. At a talk at the Emmanuel Center in London on Monday, Christopher Wylie said that Steve Bannon viewed incels as easy victims for manipulation as they were, quote, lacking economic opportunities and were more prone to, quote, conspiratorial thinking. He said that can make an impact if you get an extra 1%, an extra 2% in that swing state, and you win that swing state, that might mean you win the presidency. So Mark Quint joining us once again. I've heard a lot of explanations as to why the presidency went to Donald Trump. I haven't heard it placed on the backs of incels yet.
It's kind of surprising that you haven't heard it placed on the back of incels yet, really. I mean, we were gonna get there eventually. So, this is not so much a surprise. I think it makes, a lot of sense given that what the Trump presidency was selling was telling you that there's somebody else who's responsible for your problems in a very direct way. I mean, they were really running on sort of a message of hate, and fundamentally, that's what you're looking at when you're looking at someone who identifies as an incel. There's somebody who is looking for an outside source to blame, and specifically an outside group to blame for what they perceive as some unfairness done to them. So, it's hand in hand. I mean, it makes sense. They should be probably their target market.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. The Republican Party isn't necessarily sophisticated in many different ways, but one of the ways that they are sophisticated is they've been able to identify these seemingly disparate groups, all of whom are incredibly frustrated about something in their life, and then they all lash out at the wrong people who aren't actually causing it. So the incels hate women, and people who are related to incels, the pickup artist communities and all that, the men going their own way, the red pill and all that. You have the people who think that it's all about race. You have the Islamophobes and all of that. They all think that someone who is different than them demographically or psychographically is responsible for this. And somehow all of those groups have been sort of shepherded into the right wing, into supporting tax cuts for billionaires and banning Muslims from coming into the US.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. I mean, their primary goal has always really been very economic and very, how can we give the wealthy more money? And so being able to manipulate people on this sort of societal level and then push them to just sort of take whole package these economic worldviews has been pretty impressive, definitely. And certainly in the reverse, it's something that the Democratic Party has really failed to do. Mm-hmm. They've failed to bring people together. And I think a lot of that is because one of the things that counters that and brings people together is some sort of hope, is bringing people together for a common good, and the Dems tend to splinter on any sort of messaging when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. I don't want to see the DNC getting more savvy at enraging people towards different outgroups or anything. But it does seem like for seemingly millions of Americans, messages of basically organizing around a 2-minute hate versus different groups certainly seems more appealing than a message of raising the minimum wage or these other sort of societal goods that could actually improve the conditions of these incels and things like that. Are you worried that a political strategy might run up against sort of inherent psychological flaws in humanity, that we are small-minded people that tend to be we have dark passions, we're prejudiced and all of that?
I mean, we are, right? We all have that capacity for anger and hatred, and not to be too Star Warsy, but it's very easy to give in to that sort of hate, and it's very easy to appeal to it.
Hold it really fast, Mara. Feel free to be as Star Warsy as you want on this show.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, I'll start whipping out all the Star Wars references. But yeah, I think that's a really easy thing to do. You can walk up to someone and make them hate somebody else pretty quickly, really. You just have to know how to say it. And I think that the problem is the Dems they don't really want to do that, which, hey, that's good. But they don't know what else to do. And I think that we also, all of us share two other traits that we should be tapping into. One is that everybody wants just a nice life. Everybody wants to be, not be worried about where they're going to get food and have a place to live, and generally exist in some sort of societal structure that isn't just sort of stepping on their backs all the time. So, I mean, that's one thing we all also want. Mm-hmm. And additionally, given the state of things right now, we are most of us pretty angry. And anger doesn't always mean hate. It can be. You can take that anger and you can push it towards hate, but you can take that anger and you can push it elsewhere as well. Anger is a very powerful force. And I think that if we can really learn to organize around anger, I think we can really sort of get somewhere, because anger is what is keeping us kind of where we are at the status quo. We can also use that to say, no, I want something more, and I'm angry, and I'm going to be angry until we all collectively get something more.
Okay, I like that, and I think that there's very different approaches amongst the Democrats who are vying for to win this primary. Some of them, I think, are well positioned to use that anger to accomplish, I would say, far better goals. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.